Knowledge is a process of piling up facts. Wisdom lies in their simplification. Martin H. Fischer. Well, as you pile up your knowledge, you have to sift it down, simplify it into wisdom. How do you do that? Well, every day, 10 to 15 minutes following these charts, practice trading, filling out your trade worksheet, making sure that you fill out your daily market worksheet. And then, of course, on Fridays over the weekend, as you listen to this broadcast, you fill out the weekly market worksheet. I'm going to put the instructions at the end of today's video on all three of those worksheets. Plus, you'll see in your show notes every day PDFs of those worksheets. So please, if you're not a subscriber, go to chartingwealth.com, sign up for free. All the information we pass on here is for free. Now, there's some special things we give out to our Patreon members. We're happy to do that. Our Charting Crypto podcast that we have started this week, where we go through all sorts of fun stuff. You know, every day we cover for you Bitcoin on the New York Stock Exchange Bitcoin Index. But on the Charting Crypto, we also cover Grayscale Bitcoin. We cover Grayscale Ethereum Trust. We cover things like the new futures ETF on Bitcoin, BITO, or we look forward to actually covering it in the future, because what do you see there? Just a few weeks of movement, so isn't letting us get into it very much at this time. Also, Valkyrie, Bitcoin Strategy, another futures ETF on Bitcoin. Also, other things like Block, BITW, BLCN, LEGR. You can see all of these are various crypto-related ETFs. So, if you're interested in that, think about becoming a Patreon member. Also, you get that three-part series, Options Made Simple, The Charting Wealth Way. That is a great one if you want to know what options are all about. Best training on the internet. It's free to all of our Patreon supporters. And of course, that once a month live question answer call-in session. We help you backtrack the stocks and ETFs you're interested in, practice trading, answer your questions once a month, plus that weekly 20 that we give out, 20 weekly vertical crossovers. We give those out weekly on the S&P 500. They went out last night. Let's jump into these charts. Stocks are up. Bonds are down. Gold is up. Bitcoin is down. Let's jump first into the S&P 500. How did we end this week? We had a weekly vertical crossover. We questioned last week. We didn't have that derivative oscillator rotating over going down. We cautioned you with that crossover last week. What have we seen happen this week? Well, a green open box spinning top, almost a doji, lots of indecision, still down. The derivative oscillator is just barely positive. Price percent oscillator has not crossed back over going up yet, but it's awfully close. But a lot of indecision there. The overall mood is still down. We'll see what happens as we get into this next week. Look at the 2-day. We have 2 days of up movement. Again, topping out at about the same place. Maybe this last candle got a little bit higher. Let's look. We see on the Tuesday, Wednesday candle, the 7th and the 8th, the high was $470. What is it here? $470.90. So again, about 90 cents higher on the Thursday, Friday, the 9th and the 10th. So again, and the candle itself moving up. Hasn't crossed over. So again, the overall mood still down. Derivative oscillator also still negative. We'll see what next week holds. What do you see when you look at the half-day chart? You can see where things bottomed on Friday afternoon of last week, and over the course of this week really popped up right there on Tuesday, and then sort of sliding sideways down a little bit, tracking back up again on Friday. So we'll keep an eye on things. Overall, the mood in the S&P still is down, so we'll see. What about the Nasdaq 100? It was up for the day over 1%, the S&P almost 1%. What do we see there? We see a solid green spinning top. Now remember, solid green is not a green open box showing strong up movement. It's actually a slowdown in the down movement. And what do we have as far as where the price percent oscillator is? Still just barely below the red signal line. Derivative oscillator still negative. So still some downward pressure there. Look at the half day. I'm sorry, the 2-day. It is flat. And we see the derivative oscillator still negative. 2 up candles. That last candle not as big as the prior one and topping out at about the same place. We look at the half day. What do we see? It's positive. We can see where things popped up. Actually at the last high on Wednesday afternoon. Devolved since then. Price percent oscillator is heading up. Derivative oscillator positive, losing momentum. Overall, what do we take from this week? After a big down week the prior week with crossovers, we've seen it trying to recover a little bit, but not fully making it. So the pressure on the market still down on both the S&P and the Nasdaq 100. Keep an eye out for how this next week starts off and if that pressure stays on. What about bonds? Down for the day, 0.24%. Overall, a week of weakening. We had several prior weeks. We saw where we had 3 weeks in a row, culminated by a weekly vertical crossover back on the 12th, right at the middle of November, 12th of November. Then sort of a strange little down week with a red spinning top, and then things taking off the next week and really popping up the week ending the 3rd of December. And this last week, not reaching a higher high, but we do see a long wick on the top. Red open box candle. That means a slowdown in the up movement. Consequently, price percent oscillator losing lots of its momentum that it had, flattening and actually going down a little bit, still positive. Derivative oscillator, green but losing some momentum. Now again, we had that weekly vertical crossover back in mid-November. We look at the 2-day. What do we see there? Well, we see 2 days, most recently, of stronger down movement. That prior 2-day candle was also a red, had a wick on top. Price percent oscillator still positive, but heading down. Derivative oscillator positive, but losing momentum. What do we see on the half day? We can see where things trundled down for 3 days and then sort of sliding along over the last 2 days. That price percent oscillator still moving down. Derivative oscillator negative, losing downward momentum. So overall, what we see with bonds is it's still struggling to keep positive. So we'll keep an eye on that as we jump into next week. What about gold? Up for the day a little bit, little less than 0.5%, 0.42%, but a red down candle for the week, not hitting the most recent low, not crossing over, going down, getting awfully close, but not happening. Derivative oscillator losing momentum. Price percent oscillator positive, heading down, close to crossing over. If it's a down week for gold this next week, it could cross over. What if it's a big up week for gold? Then guess what? You might have a weekly vertical crossover. I'm sorry, a 2-day recross. So we'll wait and see. It'll probably, well, we'll see. It could be one of the two. It could be a crossover going down, or it could be a 2-day recross potentially going up. We'll see. As we look at the half-day chart, we can see that it really has been doing mostly sliding sideways for many, many days. So gold, you know, in sort of a struggling to figure out if it's just going to flop over and move down to maybe its prior lows somewhere around the 160 mark, or if it's going to catch a little bit of fire and pop back up. We'll see. Wait, watch, and see on that. Lastly, we go to Bitcoin. Again, downward pressure still on Bitcoin, down for the day, 0.83%. Big down week for Bitcoin. Red down candle, wick on the bottom. Price percent oscillator, of course, crossed over going down with a weekly vertical crossover last Friday, the 3rd. That derivative oscillator did turn negative at the same time. What do we see happening on the latest one? Going red, price percent oscillator heading down. 2-day chart. Look at that. We've got 3 candles pretty much attached on a nice 2-day trend line. Price percent oscillator heading down. Derivative oscillator about flat, maybe just gaining a little bit. But again, all strong downward pressure, even on the half-day chart. That is where we are on our 5 big ones. The S&P, the Nasdaq 100, 20-year bonds, gold, and Bitcoin. We appreciate you being with us, my friends. Don't forget to check out the special trainings into today's video. And if you want to support us at Patreon, you go there, sign up at any of the 3 levels, and you unlock all the goodies immediately, including that charting crypto training, the weekly vertical crossovers, all of the prior question and answer, monthly question and answer sessions that are uploaded. You get it all. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.